welcome back. This is Shruti, and here today in this video we are going to discuss about the circulatory pathway. Then we'll be dealing with the human circulatory system. Then we'll deal with the cardiac cycle, and next will be the ECG. So coming to the circulatory pathway. So circulatory pathway, if I talk about the circulatory pathway, it is a pathway that how the fluid or the blood in your body flows. So circulatory pathway are two, which is open and the closed. Now open type of circulatory pathway, you can see this in arthropods or the molluscs. Whereas closed kind of pathway you can see in chordates and the annelids. Okay. So circulatory pathway, it is open and it is closed. So open kind of system you can see in the arthropods or molluscs. Arthropods, certain kind of insects, and the molluscs like that. And whereas in closed you can see this kind of pathway in annelids and the chordates. Okay. So now what is open and what is closed? So open may what it happens is the blood which is pumped out by the heart will flow from the blood vessels. From the vessels it's open into open spaces called as the sinuses. Okay. So blood pumped out by the heart will move through the flow through the vessels and open into large spaces called as the large open spaces or the sinuses. Whereas in chordates, the blood which is pumped out by the heart, okay, the blood which is pumped out by the heart will flow through the closed network of vessels. Here you have open network of vessels, here it will flow through the closed network of vessels, okay. The blood which is pumped out by the heart will flow through the closed network of vessels. When you compare open and closed, the closed circulatory pathway is more efficient because it can be regulated very precisely. Okay. So this is about the circulatory pathway. Now coming to the different kinds of circulatory pathways we have seen in the vertebrates. Now you have all the vertebrates, they have musculature structure called as the heart for the circulation. All the vertebrates have heart which is musculated. So when I talk about the fishes, they have two-chambered heart. Fishes have two-chambered muscular heart. So they'll have one atria and one ventricle. So these atria, one atria, what it will do is it will receive the deoxygenated blood. Okay, one atria will get the deoxygenated blood, and these deoxygenated blood get oxygenated by the gills. Right? Fishes, they do have gills, right? So with the help of these gills, deoxygenated blood get converted to oxygenated, and the oxygenated blood is passed out to the body. Now from the body again, deoxygenated blood is carried out and the same process continues. So this is referred to as single circulation. Okay. One atria, one ventricle, two chambers. Two chambers means one atria, one ventricle. Atria will get the deoxygenated blood. It is getting oxygenated with the help of the gills, and once it getting oxygenated, reaches the body parts. From the body parts again deoxygenated is collected and the same procedure continues. This process is referred to as single circulation. Now next, we are done with the fishes, right? So now we have reptiles and the amphibians. All the reptiles and all the amphibians, they have three-chambered heart except the crocodiles. Okay, crocodile is a reptile, but it will have double circulation. So reptiles and amphibians, they have three-chambered heart. So three chambers mean you have two atrias and one ventricle. Now there are two atrias, right? Right and left. So what happens here is left atria, it will get the oxygenated blood from all the body parts. Okay. Right atrium will get the deoxygenated blood. Okay. One is getting oxygenated, one is getting deoxygenated. Oxygenated blood you are getting from lungs and gills or the skin. From there you will get this. Deoxygenated blood you are getting from various kinds of body parts. Now these oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, what it will happen is gets combined or mixed up in one single ventricle. Three chambers, right? So two atria and one ventricle. So oxygenated blood you are getting at the left, deoxygenated you are getting at the right. Both of them get mixed at the one ventricle. So this is referred to as incomplete double circulation. It is incomplete double circulation because both of the blood gets mixed up in a single ventricle. Hence it is referred to as incomplete double circulation. So you can see this incomplete double circulation in reptiles and the amphibians. Now let us talk about the mammals and the birds. Birds and mammals, they have four-chambered heart, right? So these birds and mammals, they have four-chambered heart. Also, crocodiles are included into this. So they have two atria, two ventricles. So both the atria will get the oxygenated and the deoxygenated blood. Then the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is transferred to respective ventricles. Right atria will give it to right ventricle, left atria will give it to left ventricle. The blood gets oxygenated and distributed to the entire body process. So these are two different circulatory pathways, right? Atria pathway, ventricular pathway. So this is referred to as double circulation. Clear? Single circulation can be seen in fishes. Incomplete double circulation is seen in reptiles and amphibians, whereas complete double circulation can be seen in birds, mammals, also in the human beings. What we have is four-chambered heart, right? So this is about the circulatory pathway. Now let us talk about the human circulatory system. Human circulatory system are also called as the blood flowing system or the circulatory pathway. Now these human circulatory system consists of musculature structure called as the heart, and it also has a closed network of vessels called as the blood vessels, or you can call as the circulatory vessels. It has a heart, it has vessels, right? So also apart from this you have blood which is flowing through these vessels. So these are the contents of your circulatory system. So now let us deal with the circulatory system, right? It has vessels, and then this blood. Blood we have dealt in the last video. For this you can check out the last video. So with the help of this blood, now vessels, arteries, veins, you will have that. So coming to the structure of heart. In this video we will discuss about this heart now. So heart, when you talk about the human heart, it has a mesodermal origin first. Okay, it is derived from the mesodermal origin. Now this heart is situated in the thoracic cavity between the two lungs. Here you will have two lungs. Between these two lungs you will have the heart over here situated. Okay, the heart is situated in the thoracic cavity between the two lungs. The heart is very well protected by the pericard, double wall membrane. Okay, so that is called as pericardial membrane, and between these two pericardial membrane you have a pericardial fluid flowing it. Okay, so that is about the heart and the outer covering. Now the two upper chambers, like our heart is four-chambered, right? The two smaller chambers is referred to as atria. The two lower larger are referred to as eight ventricles. Atria are small when you compare with the ventricles, but when you compare, the walls of the ventricles are much more thicker when you compare it with the atria. Okay, two smaller chambers are atria, two lower larger chambers are ventricles. Now these two atria are separated by the interatrial septum, whereas these two ventricles are separated by the interventricular septum. Okay, and the sides, right? If I talk about the right atrium and the left atrium, the atria and ventricle both are separated by the AV septum, which is also called as the coronary sulcus. Okay, two atria are separated by the interatrial septum, two ventricles are separated by the interventricular septum, whereas atria and ventricles are separated by the interventricular septum, or we call it as coronary sulcus. So this is the thing about the heart. Now the sides of the heart, like right side or the left side, are provided with certain openings. They are provided with certain openings so that the blood flows. Now when I talk about the right side atrium opens into right ventricle through the tricuspid wall. It is provided with the opening which has three muscular flaps. That is it is called as tri. It has three muscular flaps, so that is the reason you have tricuspid valve over here. Whereas the left atrium is opening into the left ventricle and it is guarded by the bicuspid valve. That means it has two muscular flaps. Okay, the bicuspid valve is also referred to as mitral valve. So here you have tricuspid valve, here you have bicuspid valve, which is also referred to as mitral valve. Now these are the valves. Now there is also a valve which will direct the opening into pulmonary artery and the arch of aorta. Now these ventricles open into similar which is pulmonary arch of aorta and pulmonary artery. So it has to open means there has to be a valve. So that valve is refers to as semilunar valve. The semilunar valve guards the opening of ventricles to the pulmonary artery and the arch of aorta. Okay. So this will open this and this will guard into this. Now the semilunar valve, what it will do is, it will prevent the backflow of blood and it will allow the flow of blood only in one direction. That is from the atria to the ventricles, ventricles to vessels. So this is the main function of the semilunar valve, that will allow the flow of blood only in one direction. Okay. So this is about the structure of heart and the valve. Now the cardiac musculature, as I have told you, it has a specialized tissue called as the nodal tissue. Okay. It has a specialized tissue called as the nodal tissue, which is present in the right atrium. I have told you in a So as I have told you, the walls of the ventricles are quite thicker when you compare it with the atria. Now, the entire cardiac or the heart is spread out through a cardiac musculature, right? So now there is a special cardiac tissue or the special cardiac musculature which is spread into this right atrium, which is called as the nodal tissue. Specialized cardiac musculature is referred to as nodal tissue. This nodal tissue, a patch of this is present in the upper right corner of the right atrium, which is over here, right upper corner. If I talk the right atrium individually, the upper right corner of the right atrium, you will have a patch of this tissue called as the SAN. Okay. And the another patch of this tissue is present over here, that is lower left corner of the right atrium, which is refers to as AVN. Okay. One patch is refers to as SAN, the other patch is referred to as AVN. Now these AVN reaches passes down, okay, the fiber extends from the AV node, right? You have the atrioventricular node, right? So these AVN, atrioventricular node, will pass through this atrioventricular septum. After passing through the atrioventricular septum, it reaches the top of the IV septum, right? You have the atrioventricular node. From there, the fibers will arise, reaches the top of the interventricular septum. Now, once it reaches the interventricular septum, it will divide into right and left fibers, right? Here, you will have the interventricular septum, right? So, here right and left, it will divide. Now, these right and left fibers will divide into minute fibers, okay? This will get divided into minute fibers called as the Purkinje fibers. Okay, so now these fibers, right and left fibers plus these Purkinje fibers, okay, right fibers plus left fibers plus these Purkinje fibers, which are divided into minute fibers, will form the bundle of His. Okay, so there is a bundle of this is the atrial fibers. Nodal tissue is present in the upper right corner. Then the another patch of this is present in the lower left corner, which is towards here, aventricular node. The fibers will spread to the interventricular septum. Once it reaches the interventricular septum, it divides into right and left. Then right and left will divide, those fibers will divide into minute fibers called as the Purkinje fibers. Then those Purkinje fibers along with the right and left will form the bundle of His. Now this is spread out through the entire ventricular musculature. Okay. So now the SAN has the ability to generate action potential even without the external stimuli. Okay. So it will generate an action potential without the external stimuli. It can generate action potential that is 70 to 75 beats per minute. Average will be 72 beats per minute. Okay. So this is the thing which is done by the action potential. Now this SAN, it is generating the action potential without the external stimuli, right? So hence it is referred to as pacemaker of the heart. So average these 70 to 75, it can generate actual stimuli, and average beats are 72 beats per minute. Now your body has the ability to alter the cardiac rate or the stroke volume. Now there is something called as the heart rate. Right, this 72, what is rate average, this is called as the heart rate, which is 72 beats per minute. Now these 72 beats per minute, so if you want the stroke volume, okay, now these 72 beats per minute and these 70 ml of blood, that is during one cardiac cycle, okay, it is the amount of blood which is released through the ventricles in 1 minute. So that will give you the stroke volume. So this is again a different topic which will be dealing in the cardiac cycle in more detail. So this is about the thing which is Purkinje fibers action potential is generated, hence it is referred to as pacemaker of the heart. And your body has the ability to generate more of the action potentials and change in this structure. Now next thing we'll be dealing about the cardiac cycle. So here till here we have completed the structure of the musculature of the heart. Now let's go to the cardiac cycle. So what is a cardiac cycle? Now cardiac cycle, it is a sequence of events that occurs in a heart. Okay? It is a sequence of events that occur in a heart, and these sequence of events are repeated at regular intervals or they are repeated rhythmically. Okay? So that sequence of event is referred to as cardiac cycle. Now how this cardiac cycle occurs, how does this function is, let's go and see. At beginning what it happens is the right atrium, okay, which is there over here, it will get the blood from the vena cava from the body parts. Okay, so this will get filled. Now initially all the 4 chambers of the heart are at rest, that is diastole. Initially all the 4 chambers are at rest. Now once at the rest, the valves which are bicuspid valve are the tricuspid valve which are there. As I have told you, here valves are provided, bicuspid and tricuspid valves open, and the blood flows through these valves from the right atrium to right ventricle, left atrium to left ventricle. Okay, so blood from the pulmonary artery will flow into this right ventricles through this from the right atrium, through the right atrium and left atrium, it will flow into the ventricles. Okay, so first from the body parts you are getting the deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. After the right atrium, it is reaching the right ventricle, right? That is through the tricuspid valve. Okay. Now, initially, as I have told you, beginning of the cardiac cycle, all the 4 chambers are at rest. The blood is getting filled into the right atrium. Now, as these valves get open, that is bicuspid and valves get open, the atria will start contracting. Okay. Here you can see, once the blood gets filled, the atria begins to contract. Both the atria will contract. So this process is referred to as arterial systole. Now once the atria get contracted, okay, so once the atria get contracted, the flow of blood increases in the ventricles by 30%. Okay, atria are getting contracted, so the blood will flow into the ventricles and the pressure of the blood flow will increase by 30%. Now the pressure is increased, right? So the action potential is generated over the AV bundle. AV bundle is present over here. Action potential, as I have told you, nodal tissue is there. It is a specialized structure. So action potential is generated in the entire ventricular musculature. Blood is present in the ventricles now. Action potential is generated in the entire musculature. Now this will lead to contraction of the ventricles. As the blood is there, ventricles will contract. Now as the ventricles are contracting, the atria has to go relaxation. So atrial relaxation will coincide with the ventricular contraction. So atria relaxes, then ventricle contracts. So this will simultaneous process. When ventricles contract, the atria has to go under relaxation. So this is a coincidence process. Now once this is done, ventricles have the blood. They are contracting. So once the ventricles are contracting, the pressure in the ventricles get increased, right? So that pressure increase will lead to closure of these bicuspid and tricuspid valve. Now this will produce the sound called as lump. Okay, the pressure increases in the ventricles due to the excessive blood in it. So that will lead to the closure of bicuspid and tricuspid valve. That will produce the first heart sound called as the lump. Now further pressure will increase. Okay. After this, the further pressure will increase. That will lead to opening of SV valve. The semilunar valves get open Once the semilunar valve get open, what it will do is, now the blood is in the ventricles, right? So these opening of semilunar valve, what it will do is, it will allow the flow of blood only in one direction. That is, from ventricles, it will reach to the arch of aorta. Okay? Further pressure is increased, SV valves open, that will direct pulmonary artery and arch of aorta. Once this arch of aorta gets, entire body gets the blood, right? So this is the process till here. Now ventricles, out of the ventricles, the blood has flown to arch of aorta and the body parts. So now the ventricles will relax. Okay? So this process, the ventricles relaxation, is referred to as ventricular diastole. Now after the relaxation of ventricles, what it happens is the pressure in the ventricles decreases, right? The pressure decreases. Once the pressure decreases, that will lead to closure of semilunar valve. Pressure is decreased, closure of semilunar valve. Now these leads to the second heart sound called as the dub. Okay? So this is producing second heart sound is called as the dub. Now further decrease in pressure of the ventricle will lead to opening of bicuspid and tricuspid valve. Once the bicuspid and tricuspid opens, again the deoxygenated blood gets into the right atrium, again purification, same process repeats. Okay? So these continuous process of sequence of events which occurs repeatedly or rhythmically is referred to as cardiac cycle. The cardiac cycle lasts for 0.8 seconds. 72 beats per minute is an average. Okay? So this is referred to as cardiac cycle. Now the ventricles, which during one cardiac cycle, the ventricles pump about 70 ml of blood. Okay? So on an average, it will pump about 500 ml or 5 liters of blood. Okay? So now when I talk about the cardiac output. So how do you get the cardiac output? You get the cardiac output by, that is heart rate. You can take it as 72 or you can take heart rate. That is 72 beats per minute plus stroke volume. Now what is stroke volume is? This is about 70 ml. Okay? The amount of blood pumped out by ventricles is a stroke volume. So you can take that as 70 ml. Now if I talk about the cardiac output, it is the amount of blood which is pumped out by the ventricles per minute. In a minute, how much the amount of blood is pumped out by the ventricles, you multiply that with the stroke volume, you will get the cardiac output. Now these cardiac output can be varied because a heart rate can be altered. Your body has that much of tendency that you can increase your heart rate or decrease it. Hence when cardiac output, cardiac rate is getting influenced by several things, exercise or other thing, it has the ability to get moderate, right? So when that can be altered, heart rate is getting altered, stroke volume get altered. When stroke volume get altered, the entire cardiac output get altered. You can see the higher rate of cardiac output in athletes when you compare it with the normal human beings. And increase in cardiac rate, that will help you in again pathological conditions and will help you in diagnosis processes also. Okay, so that's about the cardiac cycle. Now let us discuss about the ECG. So ECG is electrocardiogram. It is a device which is used to represent the graphical representation of the, it is a graphical representation of electrical activity of the heart. So the device is called as electrocardiogram. So this device is used for the graphical representation of the electrical activity of the heart. Now ECG, how do you do is, for the ECG there will be 3 leads. Now these 3 leads are connected at one at the wrist, both the wrist, and the third wrist is connected at the left ankle. This is the standard ECG. Now for the more detailed ECG, what it has done is, there are various leads arranged on the chest region. So now these ECG, it consists of letters or waves, specific letter waves, and each letter wave will represent the specific activity of the heart. So it has a P wave, it has a QRS wave, it has a T wave. Now this QRS wave is a complex wave. So coming to the P wave, it is a small wave. It represents depolarization, okay? That is, P wave will represent the depolarization, that is contraction of atria. Okay, so P wave, here you can see the contraction of atria is represented. It is also referred to as depolarization. Now coming to the QRS wave, which is complex wave, it marks the beginning of systole. Okay, systole means contraction, that is it marks depolarization or the ventricular systole. Okay, next is T wave. This is a little taller wave. So this will represent repolarization, that is after the excitation, relaxation of the ventricles. After excitation, it is getting to normal, right? So this is the repolarization represented by T wave, and this will mark the end of the systole. The end of T wave will mark the end of the systole. Any observations or any abnormality in this ECG will show you the abnormal conditions of the heart. Though all the graphical representation of all the individuals will be same, but there are some alterations which can be detected in some pathological conditions. So with the help of this ECG, you can actually detect the various kind of disorders of the heart. Now these number of QRS waves, okay, the number of QRS wave will give you the heart rate. That is this number of heart rate can be represented by the number of QRS waves. So this ECG is useful in various diagnostic purposes. So this is about the ECG. So with these we have completed about the circulatory pathway, human circulatory system, cardiac cycle and the ECG.